Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Welcome to October CocoaHeads. To begin with, as always, I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. I'll just go over a few minutes of housekeeping and then we'll get straight into the talks. So welcome again. I'm Zach, and along with Christian, we help run CocoaHeads. Any issues or concerns throughout the night, feel free to come and speak to us. Speaking of issues or concerns, a reminder that CocoaHeads as a group has a code of conduct, and the idea is everyone should feel welcome and comfortable at a CocoaHeads meetup. And so we ask you to adhere to the code of conduct. You can read it in full on the website, but the key ideas there are to be respectful, be inclusive, and be aware. And again, any issues, speak to Christian or myself. Please remember to sign in. There isn't a QR code today, but there's a sheet of paper just on the desk there. If you didn't sign in on your way in, just mark your name off, please, on your way out, so that we know you were here. We've printed out the attendee list, so your name should already be on there. As always, a massive thank you to our sponsor, Billu. We're obviously in their offices tonight, and they help with our ongoing costs, like catering the meetup and the website and things like that. We have a Slack community. Everyone's welcome to join. If you're not in the Slack already, it can be a good place to hang out, ask questions and stuff throughout the month. And there's a few channel recommendations there. It's not only a place to sort of talk to Sydney CocoaHeads attendees, but it's shared with Melbourne CocoaHeads and a few other groups around Australia and New Zealand as well. So I highly recommend getting in there if you're not already. As a reminder, we're on YouTube, a YouTube live stream tonight. Yeah, is anyone attending for the first time? Just show hands. Welcome. Round of applause. Hope you enjoy. And yeah, if you like what you see here tonight, a reminder that Melbourne CocoaHeads does a similar thing monthly as well. So we run on the third Thursday, they run on the second Thursday of the month. And they also have a pretty good live stream, so you can watch even from Sydney. Another reminder that there's a Aussie Vision OS Day coming up in Melbourne. It's run by Oliver, who's both presented at CocoaHeads and attended and participated in panels here a lot over the last sort of year or so. There's tickets still available online for the event. It's next Friday in Melbourne, but there's also a hope that the event will come to Sydney at a later date. So we don't have any details about that yet, but if and when that becomes a thing, I'll keep everyone updated. Okay, is anyone hiring or looking for work at the moment and wants to give a quick plug? Nope, okay. If anyone is, even later in the month, you can post about it in the jobs channel on Slack, and there's a fair few people in that as well. Looking ahead, all right, this is interesting and exciting. So next month, running on the third Thursday on the 21st of November, but we're having a change of venue. So if you've been coming for a while, you know that we're very often in this building, but we're going to try something new. So we're going to be at the Commonwealth Bank Square building in Darling Harbour. I'll post the full address on Meetup closer to the event, so no issues about if you don't remember that. But yeah, we're giving that new venue a go. It's just in Darling Harbour, so it's a couple of train stops, or probably only one train stop south of here. And we're still looking for speakers for that event. It should be the same time and everything, but yeah, again, full details will be on Meetup. And I'll also, oh, yep, sorry.
When you post that, could you please put a lot of map directions around Darling Harbour, which is terrible.
I will
go somewhere near here.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll
3 words.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, we'll I mean, it's not helpful for me to tell you now, but yeah, it'll be easily enough findable. I'll find the right address and all of that and tell you exactly where to go. So yeah, cool. It's different to I think it's different to the building we were in 2019. So if you find yourself there, you're probably in the wrong spot. Yeah. That's all I know for now. Yeah. I've been emphasizing this the last few months, but it's very important to RSVP. It helps for catering and stuff like that. But also at the new venue, I'd like to emphasize, please RSVP as soon as possible. So I'm going to post the details about the event probably tomorrow, like a lot earlier than the usual 1 week's notice, because about a week before the event, we need to give a list of attendees to Commonwealth Bank so they can give us access passes and things like that. So in order for that to run smoothly, please RSVP and keep your RSVP up to date. If you can't come, that's fine. If you happen to RSVP last minute, that should be okay, but just send me a message as well so I can pass that information on to them. But look, ideally, please, a week before. That would be great. And yeah, we hope it all goes smoothly. Okay, so that's all my blabbing. What's happening tonight? We have our first talk by Leo, and we'll take a short break, and Christian's got a talk for us as well. So I'll stop talking now and hand over to Leo.
I think it's good, yeah. Nice. So, hi everyone. I want to share a bit about field control today. It's a project I built a couple years ago. But before that, a brief introduction about myself. I'm Leo, I'm 23, and I'm from Brazil. I've recently graduated in computer engineering at a state university there. And during the university, I participated in a program called Apple Developer Academy. So who here knows what it is? Okay. So it's a 2-year experience. You learn iOS development, a bit of design, and the business side of applications. And after that 2 years, I worked 1 year as an iOS developer for an internal Apple project. And I also have some contributions to SwiftLint. So many of you should use SwiftLint, and it's open source. So I have some contributions there. So without further ado, let's jump into the project. So what you just saw was a teaser I made for the project at the end of it. So during Apple Developer Academy, they support us participating in the Swift Students Challenge, which is a challenge that happens every year before WWDC, and the winners have the opportunity to participate in the conference, and there are also some rewards like the Apple Developer Program membership, which is in Brazil is a huge deal because it's expensive with our currency. So it allowed me to put the app on the App Store for the first time. So it was my first app. Yeah, so the story is in the first year of the academy, I submitted a simple app. Good, just go back. I submitted a simple app. I was just started to learn Swift and I didn't know much. So it was a simple app with 3 screens and just text and a next button, so that the person can read. And in this challenge, the reviewer, they have like 3 minutes to see our app, so it must be a really simple thing. And then in the next year, I wanted to do something better, something I felt proud of, and I started experimenting with sprite kits because they really encourage us to try Apple's frameworks in the academy. And I started trying sprite kit and putting some nodes on the screen and see how it works and how to build a game. I had no idea. And I encountered this. This is a sprite kit scene, and it has 3 nodes that are radial gravitational fields. Like it's like there are 3 planets in the scene, and the lines you see are an option of the sprite kit scene called show fields. So you can just turn on, and it will show what the field looks like in each point of the screen. So it's like a vector field but the arrows have no heads, just the lines. And I thought it was really interesting, this effect. It reminded me of an app I used to play in my brother's iPod Touch when I was little, when I was a kid, and it has a similar effect that you would just move your finger across the screen and the particles would move. So yeah, I started looking into it and see how that could transform into something I would show to the people that would review my app. However, it didn't work. I don't know if you used SpriteKit before, but the support isn't great. And although they want to add electrical fields to put like positive and negative charges and play with them, but then the visualization simply wouldn't work. So as what does we developers do when a thing doesn't work? We build our own, right? We try to build our own. So yeah, that ended up being a gameplay that is a puzzle with mechanics. That's the idea of the game. You have levels and you will need to go through them, put the charges into the targets, and your finger is like a positive field that repels the positive charges and attracts the negative ones. And once you figure out how the level works, you need to use some skill and maybe be fast to fulfill it. And today I would like to focus on some technical aspects during the implementation of the app. I will not like dive into the code itself, like low level, but if you want to know more how something works, I'm happy to talk about during or later. Okay. So as I was saying, it didn't work, and I tried to implement my own. So to do that, I needed two things, which was to sample the field. SpriteKit has the support for electric fields, and it is inside the framework. And it has a function to sample the field and check what the value is in each point of the screen. But then I needed to display the vectors, which is the hard part, and which is what the option does for us. And I tried to do it using SpriteKit, so adding a bunch of nodes that were just lines into the scene, and that would change in each iteration like 60 times per second, but it was really not performatic. So it would be really slow and slow the game down, and the experience turned out to be not great at all. Then I tried to use UIKit, and it worked. So the way it works is there's a layer behind the scene, so the scene happens in the gameplay, but then there's a layer behind it with the lines, and the SpriteKit scene is sampled, and each value is sent to the UIKit view, which draws. So it's a plain UIKit view, it's a subclass, and then I override the draw method and draw each individual line in the positions, and from the grid to the position according to the value of the field in that point. So I also needed to like call methods to force the update of the UIKit view at the time. Otherwise, the charge would be in a position and its field effect would be like behind it with a delay, which is not a great experience for the user. And one interesting thing that happens, just put the sound down. So one interesting thing that happens is we're trying to mimic like real life interactions with a simulation that is a game, right? But I don't think in real life charge happen when they do. So we need to account for that, because they just have a weird interaction in which they get together and the force of one interacts with the other and they start just accelerating, which is a bit weird. And in this other example here, you can see that they're both moving to the right, but one can simply vanish because it's destroyed, and then the one that remains is moving to the left. And I don't know how many laws of physics it breaks, but it's how the game works, right? And an interesting thing I needed to solve at the beginning was that a particle in nature is just like a charge with mass, and it produces its own field. But here in the game, the charge, which is affected by fields, is a thing, and its field is another thing. So we need to be careful in order to its field not to affect itself. Otherwise, you have like really close together, and the force is stupidly high. And for those who have already used SpriteKit, you may know that Scene Builder is one of the worst features, in my opinion. It's not great. It caused a lot of bugs. And so I decided to do level creation like this. I just declared all the components. So the workflow worked something like I would sketch the level and think about how I think the user should work and play and what the obstacles would be. And then I would describe them like with the positions proportionally to the size of the screen, and the objects would be there, and then I would experiment and play with it to see if it's too hard or too easy, and if it's possible to pass, right? And if you see in the code here, there's this dimension structure which has game width and max y, which are different things like game width and game height to identify the height. But there's also the max y, and there's a reason for that. That's just not like 0 or the game width, which is we want to build a game that is the same for all players, regardless of the screen size. So there are different screen proportions that I wanted to use. For example, iPad is 4:3, and there are some iPhones that are 16:9 or even wider. So how would I do a game and plan for one screen size, and then maybe on iPad, because of the screen proportions, this angle here would be different. So when the charge hits, it would be going to somewhere else. So I wanted the player to play the way I built the level and I tested it. So I also wanted to avoid cropping the screen because it wouldn't be nice, like just force everyone into 16:9 and lose some of the screen. So the solution is to have 2 frames of references, actually. So the game all happens in the same one, which is I chose to be a 16:9. But then depending on the device, the level items like the buttons and the labels, they just go with the screen. But also, if this wall here, if it wasn't like just until here, but all the way up, I want to use the second frame of reference to avoid the users going around, right? So I want them both to be available so that I can plan the level correctly. So independently of how the device works, I use like a wider frame of reference that goes with margins so that I can show just the inside or everything and it's accounted for. But the core experience happens in the middle and the user just need that space to solve the level. And this project led to some other ones. So during Academy, another project they made us do, which was a shorter one, was to produce a Swift package. So I built one that I called showed fields, which is this logic of showing the fields that SpriteKit scene has. So if anyone ever needs to visualize the fields in their SpriteKit scene, you can use the package. It's open source. Just get it back. But there was also another challenge during the academy in which the mentors asked us to do something using either machine learning or another kind of AI algorithm. And I always like those videos in which they produce a genetic algorithm and show all the generations and how it learned to solve something or to go through a level or to man to walk using genetic algorithm. So that's what I built using this game that I have just created. So what you're seeing here is a bunch of individuals from a generation, and they're playing at the same time. So each gray dot is a touch on the screen that one of the individuals is playing the game, and it has one charge attached to it that it affects. And the score is a measure of how close to the target the charge got. So there's a lot of AI individuals playing at the same time, and those larger dots are the best individual from the last iteration. So it's like it's holding all the 4 positions at the same time, and it's moving the charges like that. It can't move the finger around the screen like us humans can when we're playing. It can just hold, and then the higher the score, the higher the probability of an individual creating children to the next generation. And when they create children, they can also produce mutations. So they can move the finger a little bit. So this probably comes from a single parent and they mutated to be in different places. And there can also be a new touch appearing somewhere on the screen at random. Did you guys understand this, or make sense? Kind of, yeah. So this was it. The game is available in the App Store if you want to play a bit. And yeah, that's it. Also open for work. So if you have opportunities as an iOS developer or specifically using
Talk things. Do we have any questions for Leo?
yes, please.
Question.
Concept to getting it to a point you thought it's good enough for release?
So the Swift Student Challenge, I've built a game with 7 levels only, and we had like a month and a half, I think, to produce. So from experimenting with the framework to building the game, it was really a race because it wasn't, when they released the challenge, they don't know like exactly what it will be. They have an idea because of the previous years. So it's like a race to deliver it on time, like in a month and a half. So the first 7 levels was that, but then I enhanced the game and added more levels and features like sounds and haptics. But overall, now it has 32 levels, and I think from the beginning to this point, it took like 3 to 4 months.
Did it win you the Swift Student Challenge?
Sorry?
Did this win the Swift Student Challenge?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's very
Thank you.
cool. The first version with 7 levels is won, so that I got the membership, so I could publish in the App Store later.
Very good. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. If there's any more questions? I'm sure. Yep.
I was wondering about how many nodes it took before you ran into performance issues.
I don't know exactly. Like I tested, like building it with PriceKit and then experimenting, but to not run into performance issues, like a view like this would have really few nodes because I would say like 40-ish, like 40, because like 4 by 10 and you have really sparse points and the effect is not beautiful at all. It's just like some random lines changing, and more than that, it's already starts to get slow. So it wouldn't work for me.
It might depend on exactly what model too. So how, you know, is it Pro Max? Is it something down the line? Memory? Who knows?
Yeah.
MapKit does good stuff.
Cool. All right. If you have any more questions, I'm sure Leo will be happy to take them in the break, but another round of applause for him.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break now. There might still be some pizza left. If you need to use the bathrooms, go out the corridor and turn left past the elevators and you'll find them there. Otherwise, we'll see you in about 5 or 10 minutes.